What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Nightmare Experience with Ontario Doctor. So, after 8 years of dealing with these injuries I sustained by Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan at the Humber River Hospital, it has finally been resolved. And it's been resolved in a way that has absolutely zero benefit towards me. The case got dismissed before Deputy Judge Winnie Wong, and it's kind of shocking how all the events that took place over these 6 years that it went on. This marks 6 years that it was in the courts, in the small claims court, and I'm just going to get into just my whole experience with the Toronto Small Claims Court. The ups, the downs. If anyone out there is thinking about filing a claim in the Toronto Small Claims Court, hopefully this video gives you some information and some guidance how to do that. But all in all, if you can avoid dealing with any of the small claims courts, I would, unless you have a prominent case, which most people do, and because of the many ongoing issues and delays and challenges, sometimes it's just not worth it. And so I'm going to get into this video. We're going to get into the reason of Deputy Judge Winnie Wong's, why she dismissed the case. Her endorsement was pretty much word for word manipulation by Sean True, a lawyer from McCarthy Treelot, and it was just word for word. So let's just get into the video, okay? Thank you guys again for watching, and for those that are new to the channel, please subscribe, comment if you've had a similar experience with small claims court or with a doctor, even if you've dealt with Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan. This doctor does not have the average reputation like most doctors do. All you have to do is go on the College of Physicians and Surgeons Ontario, and you can see for yourself what kind of record this doctor has. So, October 7th, 2017, I thought I broke my collarbone or ripped a muscle or tendon, and I went to the Humber River emergency room. That's where I met Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan for the first time. And, when I got into the patient room, I was greeted by this doctor. When I told him why I'm there and my symptoms, this doctor decided to raise my arm hard and fast. And to be honest, seriously, guys, what kind of doctor with any common sense would do that to a patient? This wasn't no, like, let me test it out, which you think he would have done. No, he raised it. This doctor injured me. He hurt me. And I left the Humber River Hospital more injured than I did entering that hospital. And I actually got an MRI 2 weeks later to confirm the injuries that I was complaining about. So he did a rough assessment. He left me in the patient room for about 15-20 minutes, it felt like. And then when I started wondering where he was sitting at the desk, nice and casual. Gave me no discharge papers. Didn't tell me about a physiotherapy, like any physio or nothing. I was clueless to what was happening. He left me in the dark. I ended up having to leave my job because I was so injured. Shortly after, I was working at the old Toronto Star building. There was a huge job there, which was right around the corner from me at the time, living on Wilson Street. And I got taken out of my job because of this injury, this furthered injury from this doctor at Humber River Hospital. I had to apply for short-term disability, which ended up being long-term disability. And it just became a full-time job trying to get healed, trying to get better. And anyone that knows, you have a torn muscle or a torn ligament like I did, it can take months, if not years, to properly heal. So I ended up being on disability there for 22 months. I had a lot of tests done, and for any of you out there that have been on disability, you know how hard it is to maintain those benefits. You know that these adjusters, these insurance adjusters, can rotate, and their job is to basically get you off of the insurance. So for someone to be on disability for 22 months, you know the injuries had to have been serious. I eventually filed a small claims matter against Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan. I had to track him down. He was working in Danforth Village there at some walk-in clinic, and this is during COVID, and I had served him, and he responded. In I guess October, November 2019, Sammy Vaidyanathan hired a lawyer from McCarthy Tet Roulat there. Small claims. The small claims courts allows defendants 20 days to file their defense. For some reason, this law firm took 3 years and 8 months. That is unacceptable, and it was extremely prejudiced that this court allowed this. What happened was this law firm, if I was to guess, this law firm back before COVID, you had 2 years to make a move with small claims or it got dismissed. It was withdrawn. And so I think this law firm was banking on that. And because of COVID, they changed that. They amended that rule, and claims would not be dismissed. So at the time, it was Madeline Brown. This lawyer, she managed the case, and she eventually left, and it got turned over to Sarah O'Neill. There were delays with this law firm filing their defense because they wanted me to amend my claim, because I had reports from College of Physicians and Surgeons about Sammy Vaidyanathan, and this doctor had several complaints in the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario's complaint department. And this doctor, if you guys could just go search his name, check this website, he eventually had his license suspended. This doctor had a DUI. This doctor had several restrictions put on him in place, and I don't think he'll ever work in a hospital again. The Toronto Sun did a report on this doctor, and I'll do a video going into that news article. So this is where things start to take a turn, what I'm going to get into. So February 15th, 2023, Miss O'Neill file a motion. Miss O'Neill files a motion. They never showed up. I went to that motion. I didn't even get cost. Generally you do. She wrote this long email why they didn't show up. Either way, I had to take time off of work. That deputy judge sitting in that day commented about the law firm still not filing a defense. And they commented that this law firm should know better, that they still could have filed a defense. And 3 years, 8 months is unacceptable by any lawyer, especially a law firm like this one. In any event, things are moving along, and I guess it was February the 2nd, Miss O'Neill requested for an extension of time to file their defense. And sorry, I'm not sure if it was Madeline Brown or if it was Sarah O'Neill. It might have been Miss Brown. I'll show you guys the endorsement from the judge. Deputy Judge Clement Hagan allows them until March 1st, 2023. Otherwise, motion refused. Right? We passed March 1st. This law firm now requests again another extension on March 31st, 2023. Excuse me. Miss Brown again requests for another extension. The same judge, Deputy Judge Clement Hagan, he allows this extension. The bottom line, this was prejudice, this was biased, and this was unfair. They should not have continued to have these extensions. A law firm like this one, McCarthy, Tet Roulat there, they should know better. And they just kept getting all these extensions for whatever reason. So I still have not gotten their defense. We're now in the end of May. And I emailed the filing office because to file anything, they wanted everyone to send it through an email and not through their portal. So that's what I did. I filed to note them in default. The office, the email office, they ignored my emails. But a week later, they accepted this law firm's materials. They accepted their defense, finally, 3 years, 8 months later. December 13th, 2023, we had a settlement conference was held, and I was asked to produce 3 items. And I did produce these 3 items. One was the medical records from the Humber River Hospital on October 7th, 2017. The second one was my employment records and tax returns. And then the third one was invoices for medical devices and proof of long-term disability, which I provided. Things are moving along. And this law firm, now it's their counsel, Sean Petru. He's overseeing this case, and he gets a expert report done from Dr. Arun Kumar Sayal. He's an emergency physician at the North York General Hospital, and this expert report was generated in June of 2024. This Dr. Sayal, says that Sammy Vaidyanathan did nothing wrong, which is crap, because you could pay it doesn't matter. You pay, the more money you pay, they'll say whatever they want to say. If a doctor raises a patient's hand fast and vigorously and is there for potentially a seriously torn muscle or torn tendon or potentially broken clavicle bone, and a doctor does this, not this, like a normal doctor would do, not what Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan would do, it's evident the doctor would injure me. But this doctor, and you'll see these 2 doctors, right? They helped each other out. Puts up this report, which is just, you can just see how some of these expert reports are prepared, and how meritless it was. Just because you're another doctor in an emergency a physician that works in an emergency room, and you put on a paper that the doctor did nothing wrong. Let's be honest. Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan can be considered as a disgraced doctor in Ontario. You just look at his College of Physicians and Surgeons report. You look at that Toronto Sun report. This doctor should not be practicing in Ontario. So they're scrambling around to save this doctor's reputation. But everyone who's dealt with this doctor truly know what kind of doctor he is. And I witnessed it firsthand. And I'm really disappointed in the Humber River Hospital for, not taking my complaint serious with their patient relations department. They sloughed it off. And knowing how many complaints were against this doctor. So, you file a complaint against the doctor, the hospital protects them. You get these expert reports that protect him. You get these law firms that protect him. They pay an insurance. They have insurance. You can't practice as a doctor in Ontario unless you're in good standing and unless you pay into the insurance. So we attend another settlement conference in October of 2024. And I had a paralegal at that time who basically just took a break from her practice. She handled the settlement conference, and we were asked to get an expert report from Deputy Judge Winnie Wong, and we were given a strict 60-day time frame. The defense got almost 4 years to file their defense. We get 60 days to file a very crucial document. And so what happened was this paralegal ended up leaving the law firm. She told me she had to go live in the mountains of Jamaica. There was some serious events that took place in her family. So I was left to manage this case, and I'm starting to figure out how to get this expert report. And I think anyone out there knows who's had experience with getting these reports, how difficult that can be. And from my own experience, speaking to a handful of these places, they do not generally work with self-represent litigants. They work, I'm going to say, solely with lawyers and insurance companies. So that was difficult. That was challenging for me as a self-represent litigant, was trying to obtain this document in this very short window of time, this time frame. So I couldn't get that report, and I ended up speaking with the new lawyer, Sean Petru, and he tells me over the phone, and he had like a paralegal or an assistant there, that even if I did produce the report, he would not accept it. So I wasn't going to get the report. And why should I get an expert report? Why would I have to spend $5,000 on a report when it is obvious that if a doctor does to a patient like Sammy Vaidyanathan did to me, it is evident that doctor injured a patient? And to be honest, I don't think Sammy Vaidyanathan will ever work in a hospital again with his reputation. So this whole proceeding, this whole time dealing with this counsel, Sean Petru, he constantly, it was insensitive to the injuries I sustained, to the time off of work, the loss of income, and he just undermined my injuries. If you look at those documents, if you look at my tax returns, you're going to see from 2017 till 2019, and even further, I got them even more. I got them to 2020 and 2021. My income dipped down significantly, and it slowly started to go up when I returned back to work. And I only returned to work because I'm not permanently disabled. And after 2 years of being on disability, that's what it comes down to. For any of you that don't know, or those that do know, and they make it almost so difficult, okay, so if disability is okay, so you can't do your normal job, but then there's 100 other jobs that you can do. And let's be honest, you can't live off of disability insurance. So I had to return to work injured, and it took me almost 4 years really to get properly healed. So now we get to this settlement conference before Deputy Judge Winnie Wong. And it is March 31st, 2025. And as this settlement conference started, to be honest, I forgot I didn't know how to address this deputy judge, because she wasn't wearing her sash. There's either a green robe, ribbon, or the red, right? If it's a red sash, you address them, Your Honor. If it's a green sash, you address them as Your Worship. Well, this deputy judge had just a black sweater on, so I had no idea how to address her. I thought it was extremely casual. Either way, we got this proceeding on. I just addressed her as Judge Wong, and that hearing, I have this. So I've got the endorsement here, and this judge dismissed it. This judge's endorsement was basically from the manipulation spoken from Sean Petru. This endorsement was almost word for word. Everything that was written here, this judge just translated and transferred and put it down. So we were going back and forth. And, I thought it was extremely prejudiced that they dismissed the claim, considering I had to wait for them almost 4 years to file their defense. One of Ontario's biggest litigation law firms takes 4 years, and I'm given 60 days to get a document that a self-represented litigant cannot obtain. So I'm just going to read this endorsement here. Let's get into this endorsement here. So here we go. Number 1, on reading the pleadings, motion documents, settlement briefs, endorsements, all documents on court filing and hearing submissions of the parties, it is ordered the plaintiff's claim is to be dismissed pursuant to small claims court rules, Rule 13.51, 2, 3, for the following reasons. 1. 5 years has elapsed since the commencement of the plaintiff's claim on October 7th, 2019. The plaintiff has not set the matter down for trial. The long delays make it difficult to have a fair trial. 2. 3 settlement conferences and 2 motions have been held of this matter. Mind you, Plaintiff brought a motion to strike the defense before the settlement conference was an abuse of court process. The motion was dismissed by the motion judge. No, it was not dismissed by the motion judge. It was told to be addressed at this settlement conference. And yes, I did file a motion, which I forgot to speak about. And the settlement conference before Deputy Wong should not have even commenced, because it was prejudiced against me that the Toronto Small Claims Court allowed this law firm the time they had to file a defense. They ignored my email to note them in default, which I'm going to share with you guys. So I disagree with that. 3. Okay, sorry, she's missed 2. She's went to 4. Plaintiff is in breach of a court order made on September 24, 2024 for the production of an expert report. Failure to provide an expert report might result in dismissal of the claim as set out in the order. 5. Plaintiff's claim against defendant for medical malpractice, the lack of expert evidence to support the alleged negligence has no reasonable grounds for success. 2. Cost for defendant in the amount of $1,000 plus disbursements of $5,492, including the $3,350 for an expert report, $77 for court filings, and $60 for service. So I'm sorry, but this endorsement is crap, okay? Everything I just read out was from the manipulation from lawyer Sean Petru, okay? For this deputy judge to sit there and say that the lack of expert evidence, fine, to support it, has no ground for success. I had an MRI 2 weeks after the injury in 2017 that showed prominent swelling. Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan injured me, and I left that hospital further injured than I did going into that hospital. This was a lazy settlement conference because of this was pretty much from the direction of that lawyer. Right? So this was a case that just goes to show you how many issues the small claims court has. And what I'll do is I'm going to get into a video from the Toronto Sun, I'll do a video about this news article, and I'll do also to the College of Physicians report on this doctor. This doctor injured me. He injured other patients. He was inappropriate with his coworkers. This doctor was found sleeping on patient beds at the hospital, and I'm going to get into all the details about what this judge did. So telling me it was an abuse of process. Why? Because I filed a motion, because this settlement conference shouldn't have happened. These are all the words from this lawyer, Sean Petru. Everything that is written, that this deputy judge wrote, this lawyer said to the judge. This lawyer might as well have just written this settlement conference endorsement. This lawyer just might as well have written this endorsement. So, yeah, it's this. This is a perfect example. Why not to waste your time with the small claims court? Because these things can happen. When the rules, you want to talk about rules, well, the rules are the defendant has 20 days to file the defense. Not 3 years and 8 months. The small claims filing office ignored my email to note them in default. That was the way to file. Even when I was emailing, this settlement conference wasn't scheduled. I was emailing the office, Toronto Small Claims Court, trying to get my motion in. And I sent a couple emails. And coincidentally enough, at the same time, this settlement conference gets scheduled. So here I am trying to file a motion. All of a sudden, all these months go by and they catch wind of this. They schedule this settlement conference. So if any of you have dealt with Sammy Vaidyanathan in the past, Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan, I would love for you to share your experience with this doctor. If you could please comment in this video, and if we can start a discussion about past dealings with this doctor. I think the public should know. Patients who have experienced this doctor. People who have been injured by this doctor, and then when you try to get accountability, this is what you're dealt with. You got a law firm that's given extension after extension after extension. They get noted in default. The court ignores it. Then they get an expert report from a doctor who's been a doctor for 30 years. And he says in his report, Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan did nothing wrong. Nope, the patient was there with a serious injury, and this doctor raised his arm really high, and he did not do anything wrong. So, guys, if you're thinking about filing a small claims matter, honestly, through my experience, don't even waste your time. Sometimes you get lucky, and the court staff, they are sweethearts, they are attentive, and then sometimes they're not. And sometimes you get in front of these deputy judges, and they're prejudiced. They're biased. They're unfair. Not all of them. Some of them are. And, that's kind of my experience with Toronto Small Claims Court and my dealings with Dr. Sammy Vaidyanathan. So please let me know if this is sharing my experience is something that you guys enjoyed, something if you can relate to. And I just want to thank you guys for watching. Again, this has just been another video of Nightmare Experience with an Ontario Doctor. So thank you guys for watching.